Well, welcome to the Work Culture podcast where good companies keep good company. Today we've got Amer Tadayon, and Amer is the founder and CEO of Lucihub. And Amer recently sent me a message on LinkedIn, and I love the context. The future of content creation isn't coming, it's here. And you guys have just released some fantastic new tech.
Yeah,
And if you wouldn't mind, Amir, tell us, give me kind of a rundown of your career up to this point and what's got you to where you are today.
sure, Daniel. Thanks for having me on your show too. Uh,
Absolutely.
my career is kind of varied. I started out as kind of a failed engineer turned product guy, and I put myself through school selling. So I've literally been a software guy, I've been an engineer, I've been a sales guy, a marketing guy, and then I
Wow.
changed careers. God, like maybe 10 years into it, I became a filmmaker, and I did that for a while. And so, Lucy Hub is kind of the culmination of an entire lifetime of skill
Wow.
sets. It's tech plus video production plus services. So it's kind of the combination of everything I've done in my career, kind of connecting the dots.
Yeah, I love that. And how old are you at this point?
I'm 54, so I've been doing
54,
this
yeah.
a while. Yeah,
That's fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah, I love to see that. Not only just the progression and being able to pivot and try new things, but then to now at this point using all those things that you've learned. And I mean, based on that video you sent me, yeah, I mean, you guys are really cranking out some beautiful stuff. And y'all, if I'm not wrong, y'all are coming up on the 3 year mark.
yeah. We're coming up on the 3 year mark, and you talk about pivoting. The whole reason Lucy Hub started, I wasn't even looking to start a company. I wanted to go play music for a while. I
Okay.
I sold a company and I'd done my earnout and I was going to take some time off. And I was having lunch with an agency executive who said, we spend thousands of dollars on video content. And by the time we get it back, it's irrelevant. And
Wow.
and when I kind of went down this rabbit hole that whole weekend, if you look at video production, and I was in it 10 years prior, 15 years prior, the process hasn't changed much, but the demand for it has changed exponentially. It's increased exponentially. And so I thought there's got to be a better way to create good quality video at speed and scale. And so that's what I set out to solve. And originally we said, what's the hardest thing we could tackle? Like, what's the hardest project we could tackle? It was actually live events and weddings. You know, People get married and they wait 6 months for a wedding video. So what
Easily.
we would do is we said, hey, we'll do this. And our goal is to turn around a wedding video within 2 hours of the reception. And so that's kind of where we started doing this. And then what happened was, I'm based in Vegas. We were at CES and we had an agency that said, hey, we need to turn around some quick content and we can't find anybody to do it. And so we thought, hey, let's try our platform. And we turned around, it was a product announcement. We turned around the video in an hour. And that's where we really saw demand for this product was in
Okay.
businesses.
And no
That
issues. Everything worked
everything
smashingly.
worked great, and we do it all the time now. In fact, our business, we have three service level agreements. Everybody will always get a video within 72 hours. We'll never exceed 72 hours. And then if you want to pay an upcharge, you can get it within 24 hours. And if you want to pay a little bit more, you'll get it within 2 hours. And we have some
Okay.
clients that actually take us up on that, but most of our clients are happy getting content back in 72 hours. And we have one company that called us and said, we're in a bind. We need to turn around 18 of these videos overnight. We don't have anybody to do it. And the team that they hired backed out. And so they uploaded all their content at 10 p.m. and 10 a.m. the next day they had 18 videos delivered.
That's
So
great. That's like something out of Silicon Valley. Like the, did you see that show?
yeah, I kind
Oh
of
my,
lived it. I grew up in the Silicon Valley, so I kind of lived that life.
that's
And a lot of those
crazy.
people on that show I used to work with. So
Like I mean, when you sent me that video, I was like, dude, I mean, I showed my business partner. I'm like, dude, this is crazy good. But now hearing you give those real life examples, I'm like, Amir,
yeah, well, I'll tell you what's
y'all
really
are gonna
cool.
blow this thing up, aren't you?
Well, that's our goal, and I think we're doing it a little differently than most because you have a ton of these DIY AI tools that everybody's using, right?
Yeah.
They just fall short. But what people don't understand is somebody still has to do the work. And
Yeah.
with us, you have the DIY tools, you have all these AI tools, you have this really cool production cloud that lets you upload distributed content, it lets you collaborate with your team members, and you have a managed team behind it. So it's like pushing that easy button. You upload
Yeah.
your content and we turn it around for you. You don't have to spend the time doing it. And people say, well, AI does it, but it falls short. And I always
Yeah.
say, what we do is art is subjective and it needs human touch.
Yeah.
Somebody has to touch this. AI isn't just going to do it for you. And
Yeah.
that's where we come in.
Yeah. The machines are always going to need that human touch. I love
Yeah.
that.
And so we sit in
So,
the middle of it. Before us, you'd have to either hire an entire production team, or you'd have to use the DIY tools. With us, you can do a little bit of both.
I love it. Wow. What an intro. I love hearing that. I definitely want to see more. I know we kind of talked about that offline, but yeah, looking forward
Yeah.
to seeing more. So, okay, at this point, I want to start with our favorite question that we ask everyone.
Yep.
And I know we've just established you've had a pretty successful and robust career up to this point. So scan that career and answer this question: what is a mistake that you've made in leadership along the way that you'll never forget?
Oh, there's many. There's many. Um, but I think a couple that come to mind, and one of them is putting the wrong people in the wrong seats. One of the things we don't do anymore, I don't do anymore, and especially in this business, is I hire you for a role, and that's the seat I'm hiring you for. Oftentimes you'll bring a friend in or somebody. So, well, maybe they're not successful here. Maybe they'll be successful here. And I think, I learned that the hard way, where you just got to put the right people in the right seats. And yeah, sometimes you can transfer skill sets and they'll work, but a lot of times they don't. And if you're going to do it because you made that decision based on your calculations of, hey, this person could probably do this job really well. By the way, I've done that. We've done that in Lucihub. We've moved a couple of people and they've been hugely successful in those roles. It's
I
when you
love that.
feel bad for somebody or you don't want to let them go or you just don't want to make that hard decision. It's easier to make a softer decision. And that's one of the hardest lessons I learned is put the right people in the right seats.
I love it. So fast forward to today, are y'all using any sort of technology or tools to help you do that?
Well, so fast forward to today, what's interesting about Lucy Hub is it was AI from day one. It was AI is in our DNA. What's interesting is when we started this company, it wasn't about Chat GPT and OpenAI and all of those tools. It was the traditional stuff, the computer vision and ML. We're a Microsoft Founders Hub partner, so when these tools came out, they were available to us via Azure OpenAI, and we started playing with them. They were so powerful internally for us. We literally, you talk about eating your own dog food. Before we ever rolled out our creative co-pilot, we used it internally. So we started creating scripts. We started using it for marketing. We started using it internally. And like, wow, this is a real game changer for us as a startup. Imagine what it could do for our customers. And so we externalized all of those tools from a tech standpoint. But what that led to was it led to us having such efficiencies in certain groups. We really needed somebody to take ownership of AI product management. Well, our marketing manager was really good at marketing. She was also great at all this other stuff. And so the tool sets we created actually freed her up to go become a product manager. And we were able to do a lot of the marketing stuff using our tools and some other people instead. So in
Okay.
that sense, yeah, it actually let us repurpose some people into more important roles for us.
So kind of organically and learning as you go, really, but
Yeah.
ultimately finding the right people in the right seats.
That's one of the biggest mistakes I made in previous companies. I hired people for the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
You're
I
like
love
they're a
it.
friend of a friend, or you want to help somebody out, and it's like, no, you got a business to run. Hire the right people.
Yeah. So would you mind tell me a little bit about the growth of the company up to this point as far as employees, customers, and kind of what does 2025 look like for you?
Yeah, I think a big part of, and I think it's with any startup, a big part of a business or a startup is finding product market fit and kind of finding that ideal customer. And we started in weddings and we went into events and we went through a whole host of different industries and and verticals to find our fit. And finally, we realized, we're really in the business of corporate videos. Like those are the people who really need us. They're typically teams of few or one. They have They have budget, but they don't have much time, and they have so much on their plate that giving them a DIY tool doesn't solve their problem because somebody still has to do that work.
Yeah.
And so that's it, it took us a while to find that product market fit. And then the other thing that we really worked on is finding a pricing model that worked for a broad audience in the enterprise and the business world. So those are two things we spent quite a bit of time on, and clearly building the platform. We have a release every 2, 3 weeks, and it's the product is always getting better and better. That's what we've spent the first couple of years doing. This year is really all about growth.
Okay. Love that. So, can you, as you're coming up on the 3 year mark, have you intentionally made efforts to focus on company culture and kind of the environment that you've built there and will continue to build?
Yeah, so two things. We're somewhat of a bootstrap company in that
Sure.
we didn't take a lot of money up front intentionally. In
Yeah.
fact, we turned down a couple of rounds intentionally. So we're a little different than I think most startups. Most startups, they throw a bunch of money at them and say, like, go grow as fast as you can. Uh, we're going towards profitability. Our biggest thing was, look, if we can control our burn and run this business profitably, we can control our destiny a lot better than having to be at the mercy of someone to raise capital. So
Yeah.
by design, that was totally different. I really believe in culture. I really believe in you're only as good as the team you build. And I've spent a lifetime in services business, and I just find that to be true. So culture for us is everything. It's very, very important. And we have a really happy team working with us. Like everybody really enjoys working together. We had a US all hands meeting last year, and one of the guys walked out and he said, "This is great because I could grab a beer with anybody on this team." And that meant a lot to me because I really try hard to make sure that we have the right people. And
Yeah.
part of culture is making sure you don't have toxic people because one bad apple destroys the whole cart, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I say, one of the biggest lessons for me is putting the right people in the right seats. And if we bring somebody and they're not a fit, we don't waste any time. We find a way to get rid of them. So
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that saying, hire slow, fire quick.
yeah.
But yeah, once seems like that's the most successful route is once you find that bad apple, you gotta cut them loose quick.
Yeah, and you've got loss to deal with. You've got a lot of things to deal with. Dealing with employees and bad ones isn't easy. You've got to put them on the line, and you've got to do it all properly. But you're better off doing it sooner than later, and not extending the problem.
Yeah, I love that. So if I were to ask like some of your employees about the culture, I know you mentioned that one person saying that, hey, yeah, I'd love to, I know that I could go grab a beer with anyone. But what would maybe some of the other things they would speak to about the culture that you've created so far?
I think one thing that's actually really been unique. Everybody really loves the mission we're on. Like they really believe in this business. And we're a startup. A lot of them have made really big sacrifices to be a part of this team.
Sure.
But everybody really loves what they do. I had our lead AI engineer. He reached out to me like 8 o'clock last night. He goes, "Hey, do you want to see something really cool?" And he was working on this prototype of this product that we're building in the roadmap. And he was so excited to show it to me. And I was so excited to see it because here is a guy, he's 8 o'clock at night and he's working on not even on what the deliverable for next week is. It's like something that he's been playing with because he knows it's coming down the pike. So those are the things that really excite me. We have our YouTube channel. We kind of decided this year that we were going to turn it into more of a channel where we would have a series of episodics almost, right? Like shows. And so right now we're doing a series called Make Me a Filmer, where one of our marketing managers and our one of our delivery people are working on, the marketing manager wants to become a better filmer, and Ali, who runs our production delivery, is actually working with him to coach him, and we're turning that into a whole series on YouTube, and it's actually done better for us than anything else we've done. We're rolling out another series called Lights, Camera, Revenue, and I'm interviewing different department heads to talk about how they're leveraging video in their role in the business to generate revenue or create awareness internally and all of that. So we're doing some things that are a little different, but the team's really into it. Like these guys are jumping in and doing things that I didn't think they would.
Yeah. And y'all are fully remote or mostly remote?
We're mostly remote, yeah. In fact, we're fully
Okay.
remote, really. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, there really is something to be able to create a culture like that and feeling that excitement when you're not physically together. But hey, I mean, in a world of tech, that's what we have to be able to do. I've seen that so many companies that are unable to do that or struggling to do that. So cheers to you guys for so far.
Well, my last company, which I started in 2015, was fully remote. So
Okay.
I've been doing this for a while now. And those are some of the challenges we had with that company. And that company had a really good culture too. Everybody really liked working with each other. One of the things I do, even remotely, is we bring the entire company together once a month on Zoom, right, or on Teams.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the update in the business. We usually bring an external person in to talk about some specific topic around personal growth. And
Okay.
so, I really believe that it's not about being, people go, what do you do to grow in your job? I think you have to grow as a person to be able to grow in your job and in your personal life and everything else. And so what we do is we bring people and we talk about things like um, communication, right? And then in communication, we talk about a bunch of things. How do you have the hard conversation, whether it's with a coworker or a partner or a friend? And so I invest in having everybody kind of be exposed to all of that.
Wow, and y'all do that once a month.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. And then, like in between that, I mean, what tools are y'all using to communicate? Or, I mean, I know
I
you
think
said
we're on all the stuff everybody else is on, right? We're a
okay,
Microsoft shop, so we're on Teams and all of that. Um,
okay,
I think it's the stuff outside of that that really makes a difference.
yeah,
And we've got some teams that get together, like the sales team. We have sales mentors, and so the sales mentors are constantly working with the new salespeople to just make them feel comfortable and coach them on how to do their job and ask questions. And I think we have an environment where people aren't afraid to speak their mind, whereas you've been in companies where you know you don't want to say something because it might be a career limiting move. We just
yeah.
we don't run that way.
Which the just so you know, I won't don't tell anyone, but the reason why I work for myself is because I didn't do well in those environments. Because I'm like, I mean, you think we're smart people. You hired us to do a job, and I'm going to speak up. So, yeah, a lot of people don't like that. So I love
Well,
that you've created.
I really promote that, by the way. And I had one former employee who actually got fired for speaking up, and I met up with her afterwards, and she said, you always taught me to speak up, and I spoke up, and my boss didn't like it and got rid of me. And my point to that was it was a bad boss, right?
Yeah,
People don't leave companies, they leave managers. And
absolutely.
unfortunately, there are there isn't enough training for managers to make them better at what they do. They get thrown in the role, they have no coaching, and they end up, um, most of them don't build great teams.
Yeah. Well, and one of my favorite books is called "The Ego Is a Killer,"
Ooh.
and that's it talks a lot about that. Absolutely, like you get someone that's got a big ego, and they, in my opinion, um, they're focused on the wrong things instead of being able to pause and go, wow, okay, this person that I value, this person that is doing a great job for our company has ideas. Let me stop and listen. But instead, their ego gets hurt, and then they lash out, and then you end up destroying a relationship and losing a valuable employee, which is really sad to me.
Well, one of the bummer is the higher you go up in the org chart, the more egos there are in the org chart,
Oh
right?
yeah,
That's unfortunate, but that's just how it is.
very
And it's
unfortunate.
really hard to find good managers.
Whew, tell me about it. So as you guys are like you're moving down the road as we record this, right? It is February 25th, 2025. Like what does the rest of 2025 look like for you? What do you see your biggest challenges for this year?
I think for us, it's this is the growth year, right? This is the year that we have to show some really incredible numbers, and we're working towards that. I mean, uh, we're doubling or tripling or quadrupling every quarter, which is what we need to be doing. So for me, it's finding a balance on where do we allocate our dollars? Because we have finite dollars. So where do we do it? Do we put them in sales and marketing? Do we spend more on engineering? Where do we do it? And I'll tell
Yeah.
you what's really crazy is we're really leveraging AI. So for example, our engineering team actually does a bunch of coding with AI now. We use GitHub Copilot,
Sure.
and it's given us right now about 20% efficiencies on our engineering side. And so we're able to get more code out. We're able to get more product out without having to add more team members.
And not affecting quality.
Not at all. Not at
I love
all.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually think what AI is going to do for an entrepreneur is incredible because you used to have these barriers to start a business. You might have a great idea, but then you need to come up with a ton of money to figure out how to build the product and market the product and do all of this. And today, you can go come up with an idea, you can get a subscription to chat, and you can use chat as a business partner to ideate, right? And then you can say, okay, well, I need a go-to-market plan for this. What do you think is a good go-to-market plan for this? You can pull that up. Now, you still have to trust but verify, but it helps accelerate a lot of those things for you. And then you can basically use tools to spin up proof of concepts and MVPs and things that just didn't exist even a year ago.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
where I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see more ideas than ever come to
Yeah.
life.
And so, like, and I don't know, you can get in as much detail as you want, but what
Yeah.
are the biggest goals that y'all have for 2025?
For us, the biggest goal is profitability. We want to be able to be in the driver's seat when we go to negotiate more capital and not have to need it, right? So that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing for us. The other piece of it for us is really scalability. We think as a managed service we have a competitive advantage because right now either you go and hire an entire agency to do this work or you do it yourself. And with our tool, and you should see the tool at some point, but you could come up with an idea, create a script, a voiceover, and a shot list within minutes. We have a new utility that we're going to roll out, so you can use that shot list and say, give me stock footage for these shots, or you can go shoot practical on your phone. And 95% of our customers are filming on phones now. You can upload that content, and within 72 hours, you have a deliverable.
I
So what
love
we
it.
want to be able to do is accelerate that even more without compromising quality. So we're doing a lot on the back end. In fact, most of the development this year will be done there's three views on our product. You have a customer view, you have the producer's view, and you have the editor's view.
Okay.
Most of the engineering will be done on the back end to help accelerate edits for us and not compromise quality.
Okay. So, not to get too much in the weeds, but like your primary customer are businesses. I mean, you're not
Yep.
doing any B2C, correct?
Not much, no,
Okay. Not much, but not zero. I guess
not zero. We've
my
done some.
question, okay, because I guess my question would be like, you mentioned kind of the starting in weddings, but I had this thought of like, yeah, what if I was the person that was getting married and said, hey, I want to use you guys for my wedding video. Like, is that something that y'all are entertaining or opening to where end users would be able to take advantage of this technology?
So we have a white label, so end users could go to agencies and do it, right? The agencies will buy
Okay,
the
okay.
bundles from us and then sell the one-offs to the end users. And that's actually a place where I say not much because we do have some event companies that are customers that sell it to their individual clients.
Okay, I
Or
see.
we've done everything from a wedding to a birthday party to a bar mitzvah to a kids soccer tournament.
Okay. That's awesome.
But they're done through the agencies. We don't do them directly.
Sure. Wow. Yeah, we'll have to talk some more offline. This is fascinating because I remember. Okay, so for some context, I grew up in Louisiana,
Yep.
and I grew up at the largest Southern Baptist church in the state of Louisiana, and we would do these massive summer camps. And one of my friends in high school got into video production, and I remember him with this, and this is in the late '90s, with his fancy camera, and he would be around videoing the events of the day all day long. And then about dinner time, he would go sit in his room. He would get his own room, and he's doing nothing but editing for hours, for like 3 hours to get a 3 minute video.
Yeah.
And I remember this was crazy. And so, yeah, I mean, this is a game changer.
That's what, by the way, that's when we started it. You're doing a 4 hour edit, and now we're doing it in a quarter of the time. By the way, the use case you just mentioned is what the Boys and Girls Club does with us. So
Okay.
Boys and Girls Clubs use us to highlight their programs. They use us to um, do recruiting videos to hire frontline workers. They use us to create donation videos or donor videos,
Really?
donor thank you videos. And so, what's really cool is almost all of our customers have said the same thing. We would have never been able to afford to do this level of video output without the platform because
Yeah.
it's just too cost prohibitive. And so, for the price of one professional production, they get an entire year subscription with us.
Get out of here. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
So, and it's
Man.
professional edits. It's not like it's not all AI. And that's the thing that we have to really um, present. Like you're getting a really great video editor doing this. A real storyteller, not just AI. We're leveraging AIs to accelerate the process, but we're not actually telling the story through AI. And that's
Yeah.
where I think AI just falls short. And
Yeah.
we're constantly displacing these DIY tools. There's a bunch of them out there. In fact, everyone says, "Well, will this ever be fully AI?" Maybe in the future, but I think someone will always look at it. A storyteller in our business will always look at it because I don't know if businesses are going to trust their brand to just tech, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You got to have someone babysit it at some
Yeah,
level. Yeah.
at some level. And so I think
Yeah.
we'll always have somebody babysitting it at some level.
Yeah. No, I love that. Wow. Amir, like this has been great. I want to, before we kind of start to wrap up here, can
Sure.
you maybe share any final words of wisdom, any nuggets that you have that you might think of?
I think the one thing that constantly comes up is, and especially in our industry, we dealt with a lot of agencies, we deal with a lot of production companies, and we had one sales rep said, "I've never sold a product that's that's either had one of two responses, either just pure, hey, this is awesome, or I don't want to have anything to do with you," right? And I think what's really interesting about that is the people who are saying I don't want to have anything to do with you, unfortunately, they're gonna get left behind because they're not leaning into this technology.
Yeah.
And my advice is lean into it as hard as you can. There's that saying, AI isn't going to take your job. Somebody who knows how to use it is going to take your job.
Yeah.
And I just don't think people understand that. It really is a tool. And yeah, it's going to automate some things, but at the end of the day, some of the things that these agents are going to automate are things that we waste a ton of our time with. And from a production standpoint, those are the things we're fixing so that we could be more storytellers and less, data entry or data collection people, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that job. And yeah, people have to do it because they have to do it. But if they didn't have to do it and they could spend more time being storytellers, that's what they'd want to do. And so those are the ways we're solving these problems. So my advice is lean into it. It's not going away. Just lean into
It
it.
is not going away. Yeah. I still know people in my network that are older than me. I'm 42 that almost brag about how they don't use a computer and they don't. And I'm like, that's not a thing to brag about. You shouldn't feel sad about that.
No, that's a good way to become irrelevant very quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. Oh my
It goes
goodness.
back to
Okay.
what we do as a culture. We try to make sure that everyone in our team is evolving every month, right?
Yeah, you
So
got to evolve and grow. I love that.
yeah.
So I always say this that I shouldn't say this last part is my favorite part because it's not really my favorite part, but I do love this because we kind of sign off the same way. And so we'll do a quick this or that, five quick questions, and you can say one or the other or neither, and tell me a different
Okay.
one. So I always start with my favorite because I'm a golfer, golf or tennis, or you could say none.
Tennis, but I
Tennis.
play
All
more
right.
golf.
All right. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Coffee. How do you take your coffee?
Black.
Black coffee. I love it. Uh, Now you're in Vegas right now. So mountains or beaches?
Beaches.
Beaches. Do you go to California when you go to the beach?
Yep, I just got back actually. I was in San Diego this weekend.
Ooh, man, I'm jealous. I love San Diego. That is a beautiful place.
Good place.
Whiskey or beer, or maybe
Whiskey.
wine. Whiskey.
Actually tequila, but whiskey over beer.
Ooh, okay. And then last but not least, morning person or night owl?
Okay, I'm actually both.
Me
I'm
too.
completely worthless in the middle of the day, but I'm
Yeah.
incredibly productive in the mornings, and I'm incredibly productive in the evenings. I'm worthless during the day.
I love that. That's fantastic. Well, Amir, this has been fantastic. I really enjoyed getting to meet you and learn all about Lucy Hub, and definitely excited to stay connected and see the growth of the company. And hopefully we can get to tinker with the tech ourselves. So,
Yeah, no, you absolutely should. I'll get you guys access to it, and I appreciate you bringing me on.
absolutely. Have a great day. This is us signing off from the Work Culture Podcast.
Thanks, Daniel.